Hey YouTube, hey everybody on X, it's Chuck. Well, wow, 2 days and 2 software versions. So this went wide to AI4 hardware for cars, which is not very wide. Let's call it wide-ish, according to Elon. So version 2.5.1, which is the latest release that's out there. Nobody has a release later than this one. The ADAS drivers were here testing the turn again today, so they are validating something new, probably 5.2 or something beyond. Don't really know. Haven't really seen if there's hardware 3 cars are not being validated. It's a little hard to tell. I don't think the answer to that is yes yet. Elon did say in a tweet that 10 days or so for hardware 3, and we're looking for Cybertruck probably to get it at the end of March, according to a conversation he had at the X takeover out in California. But in any case, let's go do a 12.5.1 drive. I'm going to change it up a little bit and break the mold and not just do Memorial Park. I am going to go do something different. I don't exactly know what I'm going to do. You're going to do it with me, and hopefully you believe me when I say that. I am going to do my usual kind of go to the south, and point so I get my unprotected left-hand turn in here. And in order to do that, I'm going to come out here and just navigate down to the south somewhere, and then we'll go there first. Not all the way there. And then we're going to come back and do a U-turn, and then I'm just going to hit another spot on the map and let the car do it. Hopefully that will make sense for what I want to try to do. So let me come back here and let me throw in Gate Express. That's normally what I do for those 2 routes. So let's get a little bit of a drive here. I'll try to make it around a half an hour or so. But this is also an experimental try of not doing a pre-programmed route that I do every single time. Maybe this is what I'm going to do in my first impressions. If you guys don't like it, let me know in the comments below, and we'll talk about it. If you want me to keep doing Memorial Park, I will keep doing Memorial Park if that's what everybody wants. But I have a feeling people want me to change it up a little bit, especially after that Business Insider article that quoted me about saying that, I know they're paying attention to some of us a little bit more than others, and maybe the team is testing it. All right, there's our NHTSA stop. We are doing a turn to the left here. We got a little bit of traffic we need to wait on. Be patient, be patient. Very good. We got a lot of traffic to wait on here, so we're not going anywhere. This is good. Wow, this is almost a good, what time is it? Oh, it's 4:40. This is rush hour. It should just sit here. You notice the creep limit's not there. Oh, and look at what else isn't there. No, oh God, no. Okay, it was gonna go, and I was not ready for that. It was a small gap. I'm gonna actually hit reverse here because I am sticking out so far. I'm not comfortable. So, sorry guys. I'm trying to be a fair evaluator, supervisor here, and tell you what I was thinking there. There was a little bit of me looking down at the screen, and then it started moving, and I wasn't ready for it. So, is it a fair evaluation that it could not have gone? My mind was already wrapped around. There was so much traffic, it had nowhere to go. So I was not ready for it. And then it started rolling. And now here I am trapped with a car behind me, and I can't see. I'm looking in the repeater camera, and I'm just going to go ahead and wait on all these cars, and I'm going to tell you how that went. Yeah, so this is the life of driving. If you're not ready for what the car is going to do, don't let it do it. If your mind isn't ready, don't let it do it. Because I could have possibly let the car roll there, but my mind wasn't in the headspace of it rolling, so I stopped it. Could it have made it? In hindsight, it was a small gap, and those cars were coming fast, and maybe if it had fit in the median correctly, it could have made it. But I wasn't ready for that, so that's why I took over. So I'm going to let it do a U-turn here at one of the next intersections. And then we're going to keep going. So the little drama is over. The unprotected left-hand turn was faced with a difficult situation. You know what? I might even go back and do another unprotected left-hand turn just because we're going to loop back that way anyway. Because unprotected left-hand turns are an important part of this, and the rush hour is great right now. I mean, look at all these cars coming. And in this situation, look, I've got a car to my left that's trying to merge over here. But you know what what I was talking about not seeing when I got distracted was there was no creep limit and there was no display of my median threshold, the blue that's been in the median for so long. So look, I've got a car over here that has the right of way. She went. I've got a very small gap, and if you go in this gap, you better, okay, I was gonna say you better hit it. It decided not to do that. That was a good decision. I'm on with that, but it started to go, and it changed its mind. But look, 6 seconds later, we have the perfect gap. And oh, by the way, if you're doing a U-turn that slow, I'm glad you didn't go. Holy smokes, that was unsure of yourself. You did it. That's fine. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, but my point I was trying to make was about the unprotected left-hand turn that we're going to try again in the rush hour. And plus, I kind of screwed that one up. And if I'm making a new video, let's get it right. I got a half hour with you guys while you're captive audience, and unless I bore you, you're not going anywhere. So I'm going to show you how I do this. You guys get to watch the logistics of my unprotected left-hand turns. So I do this over and over and over when I do this. I go down, I do a U-turn, I come back up to where the turn is, I turn into the street with a blinker. I usually don't have FSD on. And I turn into the street here a little bit, and I do this quick little loop so I can repeat the exact same thing without losing too much density of the traffic there. I know my neighbors in this area are probably like, oh God, there's the guy with the cameras going everywhere again. And then I'll just put it up. Normally I have a waypoint, and I was fiddling with my waypoint just as we were getting started, and it was missing. But once I have a route to the south, all I do is engage and say, and here we go. We'll go to our NHTSA stop. You watch, this is gonna be an easy roller. It's not gonna have any traffic or anything. All right, we got 2 cars to wait for. So it is definitely not the situation we had last time, but, and here's our gap. It should go. Look, there's no median network though. Notice that? Very small, you gotta hit it. It jumped out in front of a car, give me a boost. Okay, that was okay. It fit in. That car definitely had to slow down, and that's okay. And here I am playing with my route. I don't know if I'm good enough to drive and talk and edit routes at the same time, but we'll see if it does it again. Okay, it got the U-turn in there. It should do a left-hand turn and a U-turn here. It jumped out in front of that guy. It did not give like a Tesla acceleration, but there was plenty of room. Unlike, I don't know, you see how quickly he went by, unlike he did the other day with that truck that was turning left into my lane. All right, so I'm gonna add a stop since I got a little bit of time here, and I'm gonna come here and I'm just gonna hit the lucky button. I don't know where it's gonna go, but let's just go lucky somewhere. No, I don't want to do that. Let's go up into Murray Hill. Murray Hill, add that stop, and we're gonna do that. So I've added another route. It doesn't have much. Yeah, that's not too bad. Ooh, see this truck over here? He really has the right of way. See that? That truck had the right of way, and I busted him, and I know he's giving me the Tesla idiot talk like I deserve. We cut him off. He had the right of way there. I don't know how to tell Tesla engineers to fix that, but he was there at the stop. He was doing a right turn. The U-turn, let me think about that. Who had the right of way? Maybe I had the right of way. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments below. I don't want to try to assume I know all these laws. You guys know the laws way better than me. I just know that he might not have known I was doing a U-turn. He might have thought I was turning into the neighborhood. And if I was turning into the neighborhood, I think I would have had the right of way. Look at this guy. Woo! See, shooting small gaps. If you know what you're doing, it's not a problem. But doing a U-turn, did I have the right of way? I guess I did, because I was in the main road and he was turning right. But the weird thing was when he started creeping, the Tesla freaked out and the Tesla stopped in the road. When the Tesla stopped in the road, he waved me through, and then that's when I kind of took over, which is what the scenario created. I'm gonna do another, I'm gonna get up here or something, because this main road stuff is not what you guys want to see. Because this main road stuff is easy, right? The car can do this no problem. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And then we'll weave around in these neighborhoods and we'll get some stop signs and some things like that. So wow, I've been driving FSD 2.5.1 for like 7 minutes so far. And I'm not feeling so good about it. I don't know if it's my fault or not. It might be my fault. I don't know how to feel about this. That first little jump out into the traffic kind of freaked me out a little bit because I wasn't paying attention and I feel like I wasn't doing my job as a supervisor. But that's okay. We're going to move on. I do feel kind of bad that this is only rolling out the hardware 4. I mean, granted, I happen to have a hardware 4 car at the moment, but that was just happens circumstance that's the way that rolled out. It is smooth. Gotta admit that. It's smooth. It's not being jerky or anything. Even that U-turn was smooth. I didn't like the fact that it stopped in the middle of the road. That road, you can't stop in the middle of Roosevelt, that road right there. Those cars are coming too fast. You probably couldn't see it from your perspective, but my eyes were at that truck. And when I started the U-turn and he started coming to the road, he stopped, probably to give me the right of way. But at that point, the Tesla stopped. And that's when he waved me through. That was like, come on, buddy, if you're going to take it, go. But then he was looking back to the left to go, oh my gosh, are we in the middle of a road situation here with oncoming traffic? Fortunately, we weren't. I don't think I'd have let that happen if we didn't have a large gap there. But high-speed cross traffic is the hardest thing that humans and autonomy have to deal with, just because the time for error shrinks down to very, very small. Those of you that know much about lateral and relative motion, you know, when you're flying an airplane in formation and you're catching up to a plane or passing up a plane, it takes a lot of energy to catch up to an airplane. Same thing if you're doing a boat. And if you're catching up to a boat, it takes a lot of energy to catch up. But if you're next to an airplane in formation or next to a boat, for example, next to them, any lateral movement, it doesn't take much. And you're in a situation because the crossing speeds come at you so much faster, and the time just shrinks down. Now, granted, the one exception to that is a nose-to-nose fighter attack scenario, because then the crossing is doubled at your speeds, essentially, or yours times the other aircraft's times 2, or yours times 2, basically. Anyway, I digress. I don't know what we're going to accomplish in this video other than letting you guys watch me talk and seeing how FSD drives. We're going around this little arc here. We're going to cross the railroad tracks. Let's see if it slows at all. Nope, I'd even say it accelerated there. That was a very smooth set of railroad tracks. Not much to worry about there. I don't think I'm worried about that. I do want to see representation of railroad tracks. I'd love to see representation of speed bumps. But, you know, Tesla may have the point of view, I'm not going to represent anything because one day I'm going to take that screen out and you don't need to see any of it. That's probably why we don't get all these driver warnings and alerts. That may be why the media network is gone, because they're like, listen, I'm not spending engineer time and effort to develop things for the humans when we're trying to put you out of a job driving the car, that is. So, I don't know. What happens, I think, let me see, how's this route look? It's not a bad one. All right, edited the route up there. Let's see what we get. That's a quick one. All right, left turn lane, turn left. See what I did? I changed the route and it was in the left turn lane and it kept doing the turn. So here's a reroute situation that I created for it. That was good. The planner and the FSD stack disagreed. The FSD stack took over and did the maneuver for the lane it was in. That's what it should be doing. Obviously, because you'll get yourself in a bad situation. You start jumping out of turn lanes and things like that. It's very close to these trash cans, but I guess the distance is okay. Here we are turning right. It's got a little bit of a creep it needs to do here. Not very good visibility here. I can't see hardly at all. There we go. I think I need to be more thoughtful on these routes. I'm spending too much time on the screen, playing with dots. I'm not thinking about the things I want to say because I want to make sure the car is going somewhere, and I feel a little bit more distracted. So more than likely, after this video, you guys don't even need to leave comments. I'm probably not going to do this before. I'll put some thought out into where I can go so the route's set, and then the conversation can flow a little bit better, because I can tell that after I got flustered, changed the route after the unprotected left, redid the unprotected left, and then didn't just continue on. The entire video is just pretty much letting you guys watch me play with the screen to this point. I do think it's interesting how much time that the ADAS operators are spending on this next version, 12.5.2, which is probably about hardware 3. Maybe it's not. The fact I haven't seen any hardware 3 for sure vehicles testing the turn might mean this is about, another version for hardware 4. Elon did say we're going to be getting a fast set of releases. And you got to admit, 12.5.1 came out pretty quick after 12.5, even though the subset was small on the hardware 4 vehicles. I don't know. I don't even know what they're doing. Haven't seen a Cybertruck yet. Elon said late August, so that's 4 weeks away. I guess we're just going to have to go along for the ride and watch it. The hardware 4 thing is bothering me a little bit, because a lot of people on the internet are like, hardware 3 is dead. It's the end of life. And this is how I feel about it. I already posted on X about it, and I talked about it in one video. In my opinion, this is the beginning of the division in forks for the software. Elon has already said it takes a lot of optimization for hardware 3 to be able to run the number of parameters that 12.5 needs. That doesn't mean that hardware 3 is not going to get 12.5. It just means it's a different level of effort to get a build and validated to run on hardware 3. So hardware 4 is kind of the new standard, and hardware 3 will be accommodated. Much like hardware 2 and 2.5 have been accommodated for the last 4 years. Now hardware 3 is in that branch. So hardware 3 is going to get 12.5. But I'm thinking this is definitely the first sign that hardware 3 will never be a robotaxi. Elon is still saying they're all going to be robotaxis. And maybe our definition of robotaxi is changing. I do think that hardware 3 will be an amazing autonomous car, but I think you're going to have the driver in the seat. I just think that the decision making required is going to require a driver in the seat. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can talk about that another day. But if you're planning on building a robotaxi fleet off of hardware 3 vehicles, I think you could probably start rethinking your investment. I just don't think that you would want a fleet of those. I think you need later hardware. This just took longer than they thought. Yes, they said every single Tesla is going to be a robotaxi, but that was a long time ago. And if you bought a Windows gaming PC, when they said that every car was going to be a robotaxi fleet and you were a gamer, I guarantee you wouldn't be using the same gaming PC today that you probably wore back in whatever it was, 2016. I'm just telling you, it's not the way time has passed. Compute has changed. AI has changed everything. So no matter what anyone said back then, the truth has changed. So that's kind of how I feel about it. use the gaming analogy. You bought a gaming PC to play the coolest video game there was, and I'm not a gamer, so I'm probably using all the wrong words, but that was the state of the art at the time. And it probably had all of, this is a weird one, there is no stop here, but it's treating it very uncomfortably. That's fine, it needed the visibility it needed. But over time, guess what? Somebody came out with a new game. Somebody came out with something that needed more GPUs than were even thought possible. GPU technology changed or something, and so the gaming world changed. So that hardware that you bought, that you thought was gonna last you 10 years, is now out of date in 4. What are you gonna do as a gamer? You're gonna sit there and cry because your computer's not out of date and said that, well, the devs said it was gonna be backwards compatible forever. And I'm like, yeah, that's just, it doesn't work that way. That's what I think is going on. The solution is just taking longer than they thought. So the hardware that was originally developed wasn't the hardware that's going to be there at the end. And honestly, this car, hardware 4, in my opinion, it's probably going to be obsolete. It's got the exact same camera suite that hardware 3 does with a little bit more resolution. It's got a lot more compute. That's great. But I just don't think that the camera suite that we have here on this car is the end game. And I guarantee you the Robotaxi is going to have a different camera suite. It may not be 12 cameras like Mobileye or whatever, and it probably is not going to have LiDAR or things like that, but it's going to be different because they've learned. God, I hope they've learned. But in any case, that's just how I feel about that. Okay, we're coming up on another intersection here, and I've been just chit-chatting away. And I don't know if you guys even want to listen to me chit-chat, but I'm just going to hit another dot there, and I'm going to add that stop. And I'm going to edit. Oh, I'm getting busted. Pay attention to the road, Chuck. What's going to happen? No, we're going to just go to the, we're going to go to the right, I guess. Maybe, well, not at the light. See, I don't like doing this to you guys. I'm talking too much about the routes, and you guys should just trust that I'm not going to be gaming routes for you guys. You guys know that, right? I'm not going to like game a route. I don't care about that stuff. No. All right, that's where we're going. See all that dead time? I was sitting there at the light. I don't even having good conversation with you guys. I've been messing with the damn computer. What else are we going to talk about on this drive? I'm not driving the Cybertruck. Well, first of all, I'm driving the Cybertruck a lot, but I tell you what, I really, really need FSD on that thing. I love it, but when I get FSD on that thing, you will not believe the complexities that are going to be fun to explore with that 4-wheel steering. I've owned that truck since March, and I'm still getting used to 4-wheel steering reverse. It's like there's 2 axes moving that just, since you were 16 years old, you learned how to back a car up. Now all of a sudden, you've got a whole other axis in there. It's a little like backing up a trailer. So those of you that ever backed a boat down a boat ramp or perhaps a yard trailer back, and if you get it out of joint and you kind of get the ball in the wrong spot and you start to jackknife or something like that, it's almost like that parking the Cybertruck, except for you can't jackknife it, it's connected. But you've got an extra joint in there that just pivots a little bit more. And the little arcs that the wheels give you, the brain doesn't process them right. The only way I've learned how to do it is look at the arc right next to the car is closest to where your tires are going to go, because that is probably been the biggest thing I've noticed with the Cybertruck is that 4-wheel steering in reverse. It's a mind bender. At first, I mean, it's better. No doubt it's better. You can get that thing in the tiniest of little holes, but I tell you what, if you were renting Cybertrucks and you asked somebody to park one of those things, they wouldn't know what to do, because if they're just jumping into Cybertruck for the first time, first of all, if you can even figure out how to get it in reverse, most people that don't know what a Tesla is or take a Tesla course would be completely dumbfounded by changing gears on the screen. Look at this. We got a guy in a trailer here. It's doing a good job on this little side rural street, suburban street, going around all these cars. It's got a lead car keeping a nice good speed. I feel like I'm just taking a cash cab. Maybe that's what we should call this video. Cash cab. You know, get some contestants in the back and have the lights go off in the top. I'm not as funny as the host of that show, but I don't know. How you guys feeling about this? What are we, 27 minutes? Yeah, let's hit FSD return in there. Pay attention to the road, Chuck. See, I don't want to just take you guys down that long road. Long straight roads are boring on FSD now. There's not enough excitement. Not that we need dangerous excitement like the beginning of this trip, but we need, like, you know, some variety to give the car a problem. I mean, visibility is one thing. You can kind of put the car in situations where it's got to get good visibility. Oh, this is an interesting intersection. Look at that on the map. There's a stop sign there. There's like 3 or 4 stop signs, but it did a good job. Just don't hit those trash cans. It gave them a little bit of room, not a lot. I don't think I've ever been here before. I mean, I know where I am in the part of town. Oh God, I can't see anything. This is definitely a blind turn. Slow traffic, so I don't worry about things like this. I mean, like, these cars, the traffic on this road isn't going 60. So unprotected left-hand turns into 60-mile-an-hour traffic is one thing. Unprotected left turns or right turns into blind traffic where the traffic's going slower, the creep gives you more opportunity to bail out. It doesn't scare me in scenarios like that. Some people like to use that as an argument. I just figured I'd give you the straight scoop on how I feel about that. So this is going to be an interesting little intersection here. They added a traffic circle to this little area of Murray Hill on Edgewood, and I don't think it's mapped. No, see that? It's not mapped. But I'll be darned if it isn't doing it just fine. Oh, ooh, you almost went that way, didn't you? He didn't. I don't know. We got to figure out if this car is a he or she. I don't even know yet. Man, FSD 12.5.1, that was good. That was really good. You went around an unmapped traffic circle. You almost got confused, but you didn't get confused enough. Yeah, you know, I've said this quote before. I'm going to say it again. On this end-to-end neural network, FSD 12 is so smooth. Even the fuck-ups are smooth. Now think about that. What does that mean? You could be driving off the end of a cliff, but it's going to do it smoothly. You could put yourself in the middle of a very dangerous situation, but it's going to be smooth. Is that a good thing? I think it's a good thing. But as a driver or as a pilot, I kind of like bells and whistles and alarms to go off when I need to pay attention to something. If it's driving smoothly and not being kind of doing something that might alarm me, I might not use the active monitoring, which is the term we use in aviation, that I ought to be using at that moment in time. So there is something to be said about the erratic behavior that we used to have when the car started to be getting confused, being a cue that I used to know something's not right here. But when it just very smoothly continues, if you're not really actively monitoring the situation, it could take you into a situation that you're not prepared for, whether it be safe or unsafe. I'm just telling you, the car can be taking you to a situation you're not prepared for. And you're still supervising, so you're the one that has to be prepared. We have not exonerated any responsibility here. The car is doing amazingly well, but you're the driver, the supervisor. It's just something we're thinking about. In aviation, we actually train a constant reiteration of the fact that you have to actively monitor the airplane. We even create checklists and verbal enunciations so that we force ourselves into habit patterns to look at things that are very easy to overlook. Here's a very simple example, and every aviation pilot in the world, especially that flies commercially, is probably going to know this. We have one variation or another. When you change altitudes at anywhere in the course of flight, it can be down low, going from 3,000 up to 7,000, perhaps just after you take off, or it could be up at 35,000, going up to 39,000 up at cruise altitude. If I'm the pilot flying and I'm over in the captain's chair, which is where I sit, and I got a new altitude and I'm changing altitude to 12,000 feet, we'll say, I'm going to change the altitude selected for the aircraft to go to 12,000 feet. I've done the task of telling the plane what to do, but we're not done yet. The pilot monitoring, who's sitting next to me, I actually say something, I say 12,000, and we at JetBlue actually point at the altitude we selected, so that we physically put our eyes on that altitude again, and I verbalize 12,000. And then the other pilot that's flying with me gets the opportunity to look, and he also physically has to point at the number and say 12,000. And we both verify that we agree that's where the altitude we are clear to, that's the altitude you put in the airplane, and we're both saying and pointing at it, which forces us to actively monitor what we're doing. We put those procedures in place so that we're safer and more reliable and more consistent, and we eliminate errors. If you took that same philosophy to driving right now, I don't have any of those cues about speed, speed limit, turn, direction, what's happening. Honestly, if I know what the car is doing, I ought to be so far ahead of what I expect the car to do that when it does it, it does not surprise me. But we don't have that as drivers, because normally we're the ones in control with our hands on the wheel. We are at the point in driving that we are giving that away to the car. We probably need to start thinking about how we teach people to drive, to actively monitor the system that is actually doing the driving, so that we can be sure it's doing what we intend it to do, until we completely give it away, meaning in the back seat. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? This is a conversation we probably ought to be having, specifically while we're in a supervised state, or at least the driver is in the seat. We ought to be so in tune with the speed, the course, the direction, and the intent of the car that we're not just sitting back here watching it happen and kind of hoping that we can avoid an accident. We need, if the car is here, my brain needs to be up here. As this car accelerates, I need to probably think about it's accelerating to that. If it doesn't accelerate to that, I probably need to be aware. And then I could intervene. I could use an override. I can take over. I can disengage. If the route isn't what I want, I can change it. I have time to think about it. Anyway, that was a total rabbit hole I went into. And it may be worth its own video to talk more about the philosophies in automation and aviation and how they translate to what we're doing with these cars these days, because we truly are giving away control to an autopilot, and that's what we call it in the plane. We have levels of automation. Once you give the aircraft control, you're still in charge, but now your role changes to monitoring actively what the intent of the vehicle aircraft is, and as soon as it deviates from your intent, do something about it. Lower the level of automation, change the intent, or fix it. What do you think about that? Should we talk more about that in the future? That might be a little bit of a highlight clip to talk about on X2, but it's something to think about. So here we are. I'm looking at my camera down there, 35 minutes or so of recording, 12.5.1. I apologize. That was a cluster of me playing with the map. I lost my train of thought too many times. I was fiddling with it. That was not productive. At the beginning of the video, I asked for your input. You can give it to me if you want, but I'm not doing that again. I feel like I lost my train of thought, my flow, and I don't like how that went. I'll try to create some routes and points that will give us a route, and we can talk and do different things. And I can change those points ahead of time to be more random than we have in the past. But I don't think I just like to hit the button and go somewhere. I don't mind deleting a point, like the route forces us to do. Now see, here I'm in a situation, it's turning left. You see that blind car? Man, these are things you have to be paying attention to. I can't get distracted talking to you while I'm waiting to see if the car has good enough visibility to make the decision to go around this traffic in an unprotected left, forward-facing left. Now, while the forward-facing camera has the best range, when you have obstructions like that, I'm still not sure the type of recall or visibility the car has to make the right decision. And it did a great job there. Now granted, the situation fixed itself with the car moving out of the way, but anyway, all right, we're going to wrap this up. This was a little bit of a cluster F of a video, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did like this and you do like the cluster F of a videos, tell me. I'll keep doing them. I don't know how I talked for 35 minutes straight, but I did. All right, everybody, that's where we are. It is the Tuesday, the 30th of July. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.